Hello, welcome to my channel. I got a request that many people want to hear about mindset and how we can shift our mindset. So mindset is something that you need to work on regularly, and it's something that you need to practice every single day. So when we talk about mindset here, it's not just sticking to something and being disciplined about it. It's the truth of why you're doing the things you're doing and what kind of things or what kind of life you want to create. So when we talk about mindset, it's actually a big, broad topic. With shifting your mindset regarding something, it needs willpower, it needs regularity, it needs you being disciplined with what you want. Whether it was a goal that you want to start or something that you want to begin, mindset is definitely something that will help you shift and get to the place you want to be. But it's in the act of actually letting go of your old mindset and your old identity and your old beliefs. I will teach you a step-by-step process. You can practice it and you can go through it. And that honestly had worked tremendously good with me, and I hope it does for you. With the knowing that mindset is not the only thing that will move you forward, there is a certain way you gotta shift your way of understanding, your level of thought, and what kind of things you do on a regular basis that maybe trigger a thought in you or a traumatic response, or maybe you're trapped in a decision that you cannot fully understand, right? So there's really many different ways you can come to a conclusion of why things are not working out and what are some things that are perhaps working. And one of the really ways that I've seen changes and noticing shifts in my life is when I begin noticing the thoughts. So I will put a chart in front and you would see what I'm talking about. There's something that me and my therapist actually did together. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy. You might or might not have heard of this, but it's a very, very well structured and known process in therapy where they take you across through different exercises. That first you get to identify the thought, then you get to identify what meanings you have attached to those thoughts, and then what sort of patterns you see in that thought and what behaviors you do based off that thought. Let's say that you have a thought that for example, a thought of, I can't be with people, or people laugh at me, and I can't be can't be fully myself. The behavior would likely be that you would step back and you wouldn't really put yourself in social situations because that feels very intimidating, or then that provokes or that brings up the thought that you are not good at socializing. So it gives that confirmation that you are that person and that you can't be someone who is confident and feeling at ease with people. That's just one example. So it's an exercise that I did with my therapist, and it really, really helped me see identify the things that I was repeating to myself without questioning it, without even thinking or having a thought of, oh, where did that thought come from? And most of those thoughts were actually something that I took as a child, or I took from my childhood, that maybe a person said to me and I thought is true and I believed in it. So that really shook my confidence level, my self-esteem, and the way that I was viewing life. I was viewing it from a lens of everybody's against me and that no one's going to support me in my journey. So I was living life from a set of a pair of glasses that I've been wearing for years, but I never really took them off. So the moment I took those glasses off is when I started to see that I was living a life that was not true and authentic to me. So having to take those pair of glasses, you see the things you're actually being blinded by, or things you were perhaps scared to unleash and uncover about yourself. Maybe they are good things, but you were too afraid to look within and see what things you're gifted with. So in identifying your identity and the mindset you're constantly living by, helps you to clear out many different blockages in your life. For example, if you have a belief or a certain thought that you can't make money, or it's hard to make money, or you can be an abundant person, that thought is in itself so limiting that you would actually stop looking for jobs, or you start investing in places or in courses to learn, or in mentors, or in books, maybe purchasing a product. It really can be anything that comes up when you're thinking about money and what is money, what does money mean to you. So your mindset actually makes who you are and the thoughts that you're having about yourself. So you know how so many people have taught us in this this world right now that there are things that are not allowed, there are things that are not acceptable, there are things that, like, who are you to do that thing? But if you come across things that really feel true to you and authentic, then it's something that you want to learn to trust. If you learn to trust the voice of, or the narratives of what people have always said, that this is the life that you're gonna live, then it's a state of acceptance that you're surrendering yourself to, versus you listening to something that feels true, that feels right, is when you start to come across challenges you have never come across before, because it's something that you're likely stepping into it new and unfamiliar, unknown. So linking the unknown with the experiences you have in the past does actually make a huge difference, because every living experience actually teaches you something, and you learn to grow through those challenges and the places you maybe have learned to hide, and places that you have shunned yourself or have hidden behind curtains, and you didn't expect yourself to get there, but you eventually did because it felt true in the moment to you. When things feel true, it might be challenging, and if you have the wrong mindset, and if you're scared to look otherwise for other answers that comes from your own experiences and wisdom, it's going to be hard to listen to that voice, because you have never taught that. You have never learned to trust that. Maybe others' opinions were more trusted than yours, so it will feel and seem quite difficult in the beginning, but what you can learn to trust and rely on is your values and your sense of self, and what things you truly love in life, love about yourself. What is a mindset shift you can stick on? What is a mindset shift that when you exercise it enough, you will get out of that old identity of yours. The identity that is not helping you reach towards where you want to go. Not your dreams, not your goals. Nowhere close, really. So I've had times in my life where thoughts and identity and noise just from the past continues coming in. In fact, today I did experience that, where I was just like, what the heck am I doing? I should have done something about it, or I should have not done that. And I was going into this energy of like regret and beating myself down. So in this world where no one is perfect, it's normal that you would come across hardships and moments where you might regret that you had. But those moments really teach you truth and resiliency. Whether it be something new, whether it be something that's maybe familiar, maybe a part of you recognizes it. But trust and know that these things are there for your own growth. And if you think about it, you'd never be here without them, because it taught you something. We have to be willing to look inside. If you're not looking, you're not going to find anything. Or you're going to drift towards negative thoughts, and you're going to believe everything your mind tells you. And the one mindset shift I had is that I cannot really please everybody around me, and I need to drop all the things that I have placed on myself and the limitations that I need to be this person. And if I'm not this person, then I'm not lovable. Well, guess what? You're gonna be disliked anyways for the person you are. There's gonna be people that will judge you, but are you really going to hold on to the judgments instead of trying to have compassion, love? And what does that feel inside of your body? In what areas of your body do you feel that emotion of compassion, of love? Can you perhaps send it towards that person? Send it towards yourself if you're not kind enough towards yourself. It doesn't take a lot to be kind. And that includes kindness towards yourself. If you were talking negative about yourself, what does that give you? What do you gain from talking down at yourself? There might be a belief that is ingrained in you, and that beating yourself down is linked to that belief. It's a testimony for that belief. It's what keeping the belief alive. So if you want to let go of limiting beliefs, you need to let go of what are the things that are keeping it alive in the first place. You know how we talk about the table and the leg, where we need to drop the legs. The legs represent all the things that are keeping the beliefs alive. That's an analogy that I learned, I believe, from Tony Robbins. He's amazing, by the way. So, how can we learn to identify new sets of beliefs? How do we learn how to, sort of come with new sets of beliefs? Is by changing our focus, changing our identity, changing the way that we view our life. A few moments ago I was having, moments of awakenings, breakdowns. I even had an incredible cry. But in those times when we are doubting what we're what we're believing, we sense that there's a disconnect, right? So if you identify with a thought and then you see the belief and then you see your behavior, most likely that behavior reflects the thought that you've been having, right? And where that belief is coming from. So challenge your beliefs, challenge the thoughts that you're having, challenge what you've been repeating to yourself, what you've been telling yourself most of your life. And if it's a belief that is almost hard to push through, then ask yourself why, or when did it start? And when did you start to believe those things about yourself? And the moment that we start to question when we started and why did we believe a certain thought, and why do we react a certain way, is because there is a time in your life that kind of reflected, and it proved to you that this was happening because of an experience, because of an event. Or I usually tell my clients, it's because of a trauma and something you experienced as a child. And the only way to look through them is to actually look straight to reality. What is happening? What does life look like right now? What do I do from the moment I wake up to the minute I sleep? What does my life look like? Where do I spend my hours? What do I think when I'm just sitting silently by myself? What thoughts come up? And when do I believe those thoughts? Where is the thought that I believe most of the time? What is the thought I believe most of the time? What is the thought I keep convincing myself, and I keep coming back to my comfort, and it feels right, it feels like my identity, but it's not, right? That only happens when you start questioning. Oh, like, I believed a certain thing because of this, but it doesn't really sound true to me. It's not authentic to me. When something doesn't sound authentic to you, it means that there's something that is not quite right? So in going back also to the past, not to get stuck there. I don't want you to go back and be stuck there and be like, blaming others, blaming yourself. That's not an energy you want to tap into. You just want to see the lessons that happened, why things happened the way it did, because of something it probably taught you, or you wouldn't be here, maybe thinking about it from a different angle, right? The moments that these things kind of laid out, in front of me, and I started to see it as like a story playing, I was curious to question, why do I think this way about myself? When did I start to believe this about myself? And if I were to believe a different reality, if I were to believe differently about myself, how would I act then? How do I speak? How do I present myself? When we think about all these things and put them together, you'd start to see that it's creating a new sense of self. A self that is formed from an authentic place, instead of the things that people told you, or the conditioning, or in high school, what people have said about you. Instead of going into that, it's seeing where it came from and working towards changing it. If you feel pain in your life, then that there's something you must change. Pain and fear is an indication of something that is going against yourself, something that is not tapping into your values. And when we're not living by our values, I always say this, when we don't live by our values, that's when everything starts to, intertwine, get together, but in a very messy way, right? We want to get intertwined, but not in a messy way where it's kind of like 360. It's happening all the time, the patterns constantly, same things repeating itself, but in different environments, in different ways. In different forms in your life, in different eras of your life, but it's really the same thing. So that's the same thing with beliefs. When you don't question them, when you don't see them, it's when you start to see that, something is actually going wrong. Something is not quite working right the way that you want it to. So really wanted to share this, and I think that you must start reflecting on your life. The beliefs, the things you're believing about yourself, and the stories you've been lying to yourself about, which it's clearly expired. You don't want to live in an expired body, do you? You want to live in an embodied, crystal clear body, mind, in all shapes and forms. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give me a thumbs up. That's how I know that you're supporting this channel and that you're it's helping you in all ways. And share it with someone you think might want to hear something quite that deep. So, all my love. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye now.